Welcome to the Pop Docs Podcast. My name is Joseph. I am a doctor in degree only.
And I'm Denny, and I'm a doctor in name only, and we're diagnosing the state of pop culture.
We are the Pop Docs, and our clinic is now open. Welcome to the Pop Docs. I am Joseph, a Pop Doc, joined as always by my sister, another Pop Doc. Denny, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's been a busy summer.
Yes, it has.
But a fun one. But a fun summer.
Yeah, it had a lot going on, not just in the realm of pop culture, which we'll get into, but certainly work, life, and everything in between. But it's good to be back talking with you about our favorite fandoms, about pop culture, and whatnot. And so certainly, in part, this is going to be a retrospective episode. We're going to look back a little bit, talk a little bit about your experience at San Diego Comic-Con, which you just got back from a few weeks ago now. It was the end of July, I think, third week of July, something around there. A yearly event that you get to go to that I do feel a little FOMO whenever I see the pictures that you send and that you post. But we're also going to talk a little bit about House of the Dragon, which just wrapped up. To much people's consternation, disappointment, longing, curiosity. I mean, I keep naming
controversial.
I'll close my thesaurus.com.
Maybe not controversial.
No, I think it's controversial. I think there's some I think there's controversy. But we'll get to why I think it will age like a fine red wine.
Red wine of Westeros.
Yeah. Which I think actually you can buy in stores. I
think you can.
Licensed wine in stores. It's probably a Lannister wine, I would think, because they're a golden lion on a red field, I think. Their flag, their standard. Yep. But that's what I hope is a tease for what is to come when we get there. And then I figure we can look into the future. We want to always keep our eyes forward. What's on the horizon? And that at the moment is Rings of Power. So talk a little bit about the upcoming season, which I'm trying to convince you to watch.
Yep.
We'll see in a few weeks if I'm successful in that or not. But we'll get to that down the road here at the tail end of this podcast episode. But before that, let's begin with San Diego Comic-Con. Denny, tell me, what was it like? How does it rank? I mean, is this fifth time, sixth time? It's gotta be around 5, I think, at this point. Maybe more?
Yeah, it may be more at this point. Maybe 6, 7. Been going since 2014, I think was the first year. And then I skipped a year because I gave birth to a wonderful child. But then 2020 was, the pandemic. But so yeah, like 6 years, I think, or so. Anyways.
Have you been there every other year? Other than those two, really?
Pretty much. I think we skipped. I think we may have skipped 2016 because we went to New Zealand. But for the most part, we went to Middle Earth instead.
It all comes back to the Lord of the Rings in this podcast episode. Somehow.
Everything comes back to Lord of the Rings always. So yeah, basically been going for a long time. And, the past few years has been kind of funky coming off of the pandemic just because of the amount of crowds that it brings. So, like, just the, attendee experience changed a little bit in terms of that for a couple of years. But then also a lot of, like, the brands were kind of touch and go there for a while in regards to, what they were bringing to it from like offsites to the panels, etc. So it was kind of a hodgepodge for a couple of years. I felt like this year was the first year that felt like OG San Diego Comic-Con, from everything with the offsites to the Hall H panels to the, just the whole basic experience. So it was really, really fun. We had a blast.
Well, you did not do much. You didn't do a Hall H this year, though.
Definitely not. No. I'm not. I will never wait in that line ever again. I did it once.
You mark it off the bucket list.
I mark it off the bucket list, yes. And it is really cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, it is pretty freaking epic. And I can see why people do it. However, I personally just can't wait in those kinds of lines overnight for like 2 or 3 days. And usually, at least nowadays, it conflicts with Funko Fun Days. So that's why well, correction, that's why Rob didn't do it this year, is because he had to wait for Funko Fun Days.
I didn't know it conflicted. Well, I mean, they have different things
Certain
every
ones.
day, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, well, the big one for this year was Deadpool and Wolverine. That was like the big, because Marvel had returned. It had been gone for a few
It
years.
came back. They
So
opened
it
a
came
portal
back.
and
Yeah.
returned.
And it was interesting though, because for that one, they actually did like a lottery sign up for that Hall H panel. And um apparently tragically botched it for the actual panel in terms of queuing and everything for it. Um, which was disappointing to hear about because in theory, that sounds like a great way to do Hall H is like lottery, because then at least those people get a guarantee and you would think from a queuing perspective, probably easier. But apparently they messed it up. Someone dropped the ball.
Well, I mean, it assumes technology works and the people implementing it know what they're doing. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, I mean, I would imagine it's actually it may not be may be impossible to even test that without
Yeah,
people actually. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a tech
I don't
person.
know.
But,
I'm not a tech person. That's not my gig. But
yeah, best
you know,
laid plans
best laid
of
plans
mice and
indeed.
men often go awry.
Yeah, but there were some really cool ones. So there's Marvel, Wolverine, and Deadpool. There was the Alien Romulus one. Is that right?
Yeah,
Romulus.
Alien
Okay, yeah.
Romulus.
I
Yep.
was about to say I'm pretty sure that's right,
Yep.
but which sounded really cool. And they actually gave a free swag, which was like a full blown face hugger to
Mm.
every person who went to that one. So that one actually sounds pretty cool. So yeah, there's some really great Hall H panels. The exhibitor floor was awesome this year. Um, lots of great studios and brand presence in there.
Did Rob get
Um,
any cool free stuff? I know he just loves to do his best to fly by all the booths and get all the free swag they're offering.
we got some Funko stuff from Funkoville. They were doing some like spin the
Is that what
wheel
they call it
stuff.
now? Funkoville?
Funkoville, yes,
That's funny.
yes. It's really cute. This year it was like airport themed. It was adorable. So got some stuff from there. Outside of that, we didn't really get too much sweet free swag this time around, just because nowadays we just don't really grab. It's a lot of like posters or like buttons and stuff like that of stuff that we don't watch or anything. So
I was
we've
about to
gotten a
say,
little more picky with our free swag, I guess you could say.
poo-pooing posters as you sit in front of a wall filled with various posters of different
Excuse me?
things.
These are stylized maps, okay?
Oh, forgive me.
Very different. Very different. Um, but I will say the one free thing that we did pretty much every single day is we went um over to Penguish Publishing, Random House. It was Penguin Random House, I think, publishing
Mhm.
group. But they had this what they called the like oracle, and you could do it, and it was like a survey, and you answered like questions like what is your favorite color, or where would you want to live, like those kind of questions. And it basically created a recommendation for a book that you should read, and they actually gave you a free advanced copy of the book that you matched up with.
So what'd you
um
match up with?
oh my gosh, I got
Is it
so many.
romance? Are there direct you did this multiple times? You can do this multiple
You could
times?
do it every single day, like once a
Oh my
day.
gosh, that's amazing.
So I ended up with like 5 books or something like that. I don't know. 4 or 5 books. And so and I did it different every single time to obviously mix it up and get different books. But my first one was very, very on theme. It was like fantasy world with dragons and like enemies to lovers kind of. And I was like, yep, that's pretty spot on.
Is it a romantasy?
Yes. Yes, it is. It is. But that was a really cool freebie. So we did that multiple times. And then yeah, I mean that was kind of the big. Scholastic had some free book giveaways that we did as well. I came back with a lot of books. Which is my favorite. So I'm on board for that.
What was your favorite outside or sorry, outdoor activation?
Outdoor activation. Yeah, there were some good ones and there were some misses, I guess you could say. We favorite one that we went to was the Paramount Lodge again, which was really cool. It's pretty much the same thing they've done, I think, for the past couple years, where they basically buy out this like bar kind of venue space, and then they put just different activities and things inside for some of their upcoming shows that they're promoting. So this year it was all about SpongeBob SquarePants, which I freaking loved. It was so
Is
cute. It
it?
was like 25 years of SpongeBob, I
I was
think.
gonna
So it
say.
was like
I
an
was gonna ask if it was an anniversary.
it was an anniversary year for sure. And so they were really promoting that and having it as like kind of their hero, I guess you could say. Because they did all the big like building skins and everything on the hard rock completely, which was really cute. So they had SpongeBob where you can meet SpongeBob and Patrick, is adorable. They had Ninja Turtles, like the new animated kids show that they have. So they were giving out free pizza. They had a Star Trek one again, where you could design a shirt. They just had like all kinds of fun stuff. Free drinks, free swag. It was fun.
For a second there, it sounded like it was turning into Nickelodeon Nook or something like that. Just like all these Nickelodeon properties, right?
They
I
have
mean,
a
it's
they
what I
have a lot of
assume are
Nickelodeon
Nickelodeon.
shows. Yeah. Yeah, they have a lot of shows like that.
Which I think
But
Star
yes.
Trek. There is a Star Trek Nickelodeon show. It's like a cartoon. I think. I think it
Is
airs
it?
on
Is it?
Nickelodeon.
Oh,
Yeah, Star Trek Prodigy. I think. I don't watch a lot of Star Trek, so I don't.
yeah,
but,
me
but
neither.
I
So
believe that that's they have one that's a cartoon, which I assume they put on Nickelodeon.
hmm,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm assuming Nickelodeon is part of Paramount if they have SpongeBob and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the Paramount. Was it
Yeah.
Pavilion?
Mm-hmm.
The double P, PP.
Double P. Uh yeah. So that was probably the favorite one that we did. And then one of my good friends got us into the actually Rings of Power offsite party
Mm.
that they held,
Mm.
which was very good. It
Oh,
was
got you excited for the new season?
I mean, the event itself was beautiful. Like the theming and the decor inside was gorgeous. Um,
Did they have the Rings of Power there? Were they on display?
they did. They were actually 3D printing them. Well, yeah, they had costumes and stuff. I'm trying to. They did have the rings on display. Yeah, they had like wardrobe all throughout, which was really cool. Some of the weapons, I think, if I recall, and so they had like a little showcase room like that. But then they were actually for like freebies, they were giving out these 3D printed versions of the Rings of Power. And then they had like the actual 3D printing machine printing more, which was pretty cool to see. So that was fun.
I think that's how Celebrimbor and Sauron did it too. Yeah,
Probably.
they were advanced. The elves were advanced back then.
Yeah. So they gave out, some free snacks and drinks. And one of the cutest was like a little themed ring pop. Little ring
Oh,
pops, like adorable.
nice,
I was like,
nice.
clever.
What flavors? Cherry?
I think blueberry or blue
Ugh,
raspberry or whatever. I
no,
think
no,
that's one
no.
of the one.
Blue
It was
candy is never good. It stains everything. It doesn't taste
stains.
that great. No, no, no. You got to go for the red. Strawberry, cherry. I don't think there's raspberry ring pops, but I know there are raspberry candies.
Hmm. Yeah, so it was fun. And then they did, they brought in what seemed like the whole cast again, like 20 people, and they did like an autograph signing for people.
Did
So
you get their autographs?
no, that was like a separate sign
Mm-mm.
up thing you had to do. Still impressive that they can get pretty much like 30 people to show up for an autograph signing. That still blows my mind.
It's Amazon. They got Bezos money. They got Bezos money.
I guess. I guess it was also probably like their first big promotion of the new show.
Two of them
Well,
threw out the first pitch in a Miami Marlins game recently.
ooh,
Yeah, I saw that on social media. I don't know
that's
why
good.
I'm hooked into that algorithm because I don't really follow anything to do with the Rings of Power.
I can hear
But
you talking about it, Joe.
it clearly knows that I'm a fan of Wheel of Time and it's torturing me. It's sending me
Mhm.
all this Rings of Power stuff to remind me that Wheel of Time can't get the time of day because of this property.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, I'll never forgive Rings of Power for that. I don't know who I can blame, so I blame the abstract idea of the Rings of Power.
That's funny.
I guess I can blame Amazon. Amazon and
Mhm.
I know Sony, I think, is a partner for Wheel of Time. I don't know if it's a partner for Rings of Power, but um,
Yep.
before we move on, I do want to mention one of the best things I saw you sent me from your time at San Diego Comic Con was when you ran into the Magatus.
Oh my god, they were the
The picture of the
best.
group of Magatus that were in the costume, I believe, from the scene where he's showing Derek the model of the school he wants to build him.
It is.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
yeah, and his assistant gives him like the coffee or the latte with soy or something like that. And he's got his little dog and everything.
Yes.
It
It's
makes
like
me
the all
gassy and
black
bloated. You know this.
black like black stylish pants with the black corset with like the gray sweater that says Magatu across it. It was so
And they
I
had the
think I
wig and
literally
like the weird facial hair, like
the whole
the
thing they
Colonel
were
Sanders
holding the
facial
cup of
hair.
coffee, which was real coffee, like
Brilliant.
Starbucks coffee, and they had like little fake dogs and stuff. It was hilarious. I think I
Obey my
literally
dog.
I'm pretty sure I literally like squealed like "Oh my God," like I did and like dragged Rob over to this group. God, this is like you need to take a picture of me with these.
And so
It
we
was
were trying
great.
after you sent me that, you and I were trying to figure out what you would call a group of Magatus. And I think
Mm-hmm.
we decided upon a murder of Magatus. It's got
Yes, of
so
course.
many meanings, I think. And it also
Yes,
obviously is the name of another group of species. I don't know.
that's
I don't think
perfect.
is it crows, right? Or ravens? Or maybe both.
Crows.
Crows.
I thought it was crows, but anyways,
Yeah, whatever.
it fits.
Alliteration, it works.
Mhm.
He's trying to kill the prime minister of Malaysia, another M. So I think
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah.
But I thought that picture was just absolutely hysterical.
They won best cosplay, in my opinion. A group of Magatus.
A murder of Magatus. So there you go. Okay, well, until next year. But we'll have MegaCon before that. So
We'll have
I'm always
MegaCon before
looking forward to
that.
MegaCon.
I don't know if I'll go next year. Just
To
because of
MegaCon
other
or San Diego?
San Diego,
Oh,
sorry. Yeah, I don't know if I'll go just because of other big trips planned, but we'll see. If anything, I know Rob will.
I was gonna say you say that almost every year, and then all of a sudden the call goes out to buy tickets, and I usually get a text like, "We got in, we got tickets."
That is true. That is true. Who knows? Like you said, who knows?
Yeah, well, I do know one thing. People are probably going to be debating the end of House of the Dragon season 2 for 2 years before we get House of the Dragon season 3,
This is true.
and debating whether or not it was a good ending, disappointing ending, a controversial ending. But
Mhm.
before we get to that, let's just kind of chat about House of the Dragon season 2 in general. Dun, 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 dun.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if that's the actual song they used for this, or if they're using kind of a riff of Daenerys's like theme from the later seasons, since it's Targaryen. But whatever it may be, so I figured the easiest way, since we're kind of doing just a general recap and review of our thoughts on the whole season, just maybe take it from location to location.
Ooh, okay.
Otherwise, we could be here for hours talking about like individual characters, individual episodes,
That's true.
stuff like that.
Mhm.
So let's start with Rhaenyra, Dragonstone.
Okay. Team Black.
Yeah, Team Black. Maybe that's the better way. I think. Okay, you just threw a huge wrench in it that I think actually makes this easier and better. Let's talk about the teams. We'll do this sports wise. In honor of football season basically getting started. Go Chiefs. Team
Mhm.
Black. Rhaenyra trying to regain her inheritance.
Yep.
We think. Actually, she just kind of wanders the Hall of Dragonstone,
A
worried.
lot of wandering.
Takes a few side trips to King's Landing because it's incredibly easy for
Apparently.
the enemy queen to just get in and out without a
Yep.
problem, even though the gates are locked at one point, and everyone's supposed to be inspected.
And also
We'll get into
incredibly
it.
fast.
Yeah, they are close. So apparently, like looking at a map, they're not that far distance
Still.
wise. I guess you can row a boat there, or as they do during the middle of the season, they push a bunch of boats full of supplies and just hope the wind hits the sails correctly and pushes them over to King's Landing. Either way, that's one thing we can get into is the travel, the fast travel with teleporting. Because I do think they got really close, and I think at some points got into season 8 travel, season 7, season 8 Game of Thrones travel, teleportation, whatnot, fast travel. But generally, your thoughts on Team Black this season?
On Team Black, I think they originally I'm all for Team Black supporter. Um but I will say I think they struggled the most this season. Um
In what way?
especially well, with Rhaenyra, I think she struggled finding her role as a queen and kind of enforcing it, battling all the different emotions and how to be a proper queen. You saw it in instances of like where she's like, I can't, use a sword. I'm not like a warrior, that kind of comparison. Having Damon leave, like, and dealing with that and a possible coup with him and like just her own council that's kind of like talking over her and fighting back against her
Her council didn't seem to respect her at all
at
this season.
all. No.
And I wasn't sure if that was another kind of commentary on the status of women in Westeros,
Probably.
and the kind of the through line that men will never accept a woman as a queen, which Rhaenys talked about and mentioned several times the first season and this season, or if it was because she's not seemingly doing anything to advance her cause, and so she's kind of idling there, or a combination of both.
Probably a combination of both would be my guess.
But it was interesting that she was I thought anyway, that she was seemingly so kind of lenient with them, and as soon as like one, doesn't follow her instructions or talks back to her or something, like, I don't know, send him back to his keep or whatever. And maybe it's also there's so many lesser houses that it's, for me at least, it was kind of hard to keep track of everybody on each side. And because I got the impression throughout a lot of this season, Rhaenyra had dragons, but she didn't really have any army
right
to rely upon. And so I guess she's kind of in a tenuous position that she couldn't alienate the people on her council, lest she really weaken her position.
Yeah.
That was kind of the impression I got. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Because, like I said, it was kind of hard to understand, like, the size of their army and the power they had separate from their dragons.
Yeah. I mean, I think I agree. I think for the most part, she didn't really have much of an army except for the lords that were on her council, but they were, I think, smaller technically. But then she, they get the start. I mean, Jace is really the one who was like recruiting people.
But until she let Commodore, a small folk, do it. And he's like, what is this? Whoa. Who had this dumb idea to let other non-Targaryens fly dragons?
Right.
He did a 180 in the span of like half an episode.
He's like, we should get people to ride dragons, but not bastards.
Yeah.
We draw the line there.
Kingsguard are okay, or I guess Queensguard in that case are okay.
Yeah.
But
he at least managed to get the Starks, even though they're graybeards, but at least they're seasoned, He managed to get Starks. He managed to get I think, was it the Tullys?
No, that was Daemon.
Or oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the river, the twins that he.
Oh yeah, the phrase.
There you go. Phrase. Yeah. Yes,
that you're right, though, at the twins. Yeah, but he didn't really. I think. So I don't. You've read Fire and Blood. You said, right?
Yeah, it's been a while though.
I've listened to some commentaries from people far more knowledgeable about Game of Thrones generally, and that have also read Fire and Blood, which I haven't. But they've said that Fire and Blood, in part, is meant to kind of echo what happens in A Song of Ice and Fire. And so you see a lot of similarities between what's happening in the Dance of Dragons and in Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire. And I guess one of them was the phrase. And that they run this bridge that apparently is the only way to cross this river. And so everyone needs them. They're I guess, acquiescence, their permission to use the bridge. And so you had kind of an echo of Robb Stark going to the phrase and brokering a deal, and Jace doing the same.
Yep. Less bloody though.
So far.
True.
I think it was a season or so between the Red Wedding and the first time they brought the phrase in. But
That's
these
true.
phrases don't seem as devious. I mean, they got, in the main show at least, they had the guy that was the mean janitor at Hogwarts to play. And so you
true.
knew that guy was like sketchy from the first time you saw him. The way he
Just one of
spoke, the way he looked. If you saw
his
Harry
kind of
Potter, like,
daughters.
yeah, I don't trust this guy. He doesn't have his cat with him, but I mean, it's pretty much the same guy.
It's great. True.
Whereas
So true.
these ones in the House of Dragon actually kind of looked fairly aristocratic and
Mhm.
highborn.
That's
But
true. Yeah.
who knows? I mean, apparently, it wouldn't surprise me if these phrases were devious or something. I don't know. Because you've read the book.
Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to ask you, because this is what I've heard too. One of the things I think with Rhaenyra was why she was so idle is it not the case in the book, at least? She's not doing a whole lot at this point in the story. That she really takes a back seat to other characters. And so she's not very proactive or active.
Sure. Mhm.
And to the extent that that's the case, I think, and this is the same thing I have for Daemon, because although I like some of the things that Daemon was going through in the Haunted Mansion in the Riverlands, it did seem to drag on a bit. I mean, it was the whole season, except for one
Mhm.
episode, basically. And I think it's in part because it's the Moraine problem, the Rosamund Pike Moraine land problem from Wheel of Time. They don't have much to do at this point, but they're your main characters and they're your best actors. You can't leave them out, and you can't turn them into cameos, basically, or
Yeah.
guest stars. And so you have to have them do something, but you can't have them do something that's going to change where you're going and where the story's going. And so you have to figure out a balance. You have like a balancing act. And so I think they did a little, in my opinion, they did a little better in House of the Dragon with Rhaenyra and Daemon. At least I found it more interesting. Where I just think it did not work at all in real time with Moraine Land. The way they tried to address that problem. But to me, it's the same problem. It's an issue with the source material and translating that when you've made these characters your main characters. And for good reason. I mean, it makes complete sense why they're part of the main cast. But they still run into that problem because I'm assuming George wasn't thinking of this being adapted into a show when he wrote Fire and Blood and set it up the way he did.
Yeah, maybe not.
So what did you think about Daemon in the Haunted Mansion?
I like that you call it Haunted Mansion. Harrenhal. It even starts with an H.
Haunted Harrenhal.
I didn't mind it. I thought, it's cool because it showed Harrenhal and how spooky it is, and it's kind of, it kind of adds that horror element to it, and mystical kind of feelings that they describe it in the book. So I like that they added that element to it, and with Daemon, an interesting character to see how he would handle that. I do think it's stretched on a long time, and after a while you're like, okay, Daemon's like going through scary nightmares and hallucinations and stuff, like what's real, what's not. Just dragged on a little bit too long for me, in my opinion. But at least we got to see Patty Constantine. Here we go with the pronunciation. Constantine. Thank you.
Viserys.
Viserys. There you go.
It's funny how it's easier to pronounce his Targaryen name, I think, than his last name. At least for us.
At least we got to see him come back, and so that was kind of fun.
Yeah. We did get some cool shots when he actually did do some things. Like, I think one of the coolest shots of the season was when he was talking to, I think it was a Bracken. I think I forget the Blackwoods and the Brackens, I think.
Blackwoods and I think so.
The Hatfields and McCoys of the Riverlands. And the guy just says, we choose fire. And he's like, well, and it's a shot of him walking away on his horse, but with the dragon right behind him. That was such a cool shot.
Yeah.
They put together there. By the way, dragons, well done. Chef's kiss.
They were the MVP, the MVPs of this season.
they were so well done. And I think the coolest thing about them, and we'll get back to Damon after this, but the coolest thing about them, in my opinion, was every one of them was unique. They put so much effort into making them
Mhm.
all unique that
Yep.
they were their own characters, and you could easily figure out which one was which and who's dragging
Mhm.
with who's. The way that they designed them, and then I guess animated them and everything.
Yep.
So what? Should you have a favorite dragon from the season?
Do I have a favorite one? I would say I do. My favorite is probably Caraxes, who we didn't even see I mean, we saw him,
Mhm.
but he was mostly just, like, napping at Harrenhal a lot.
Even he was
But
bored with that storyline. Even like the last episode when Rhaenyra shows up, he's like, "Thank God,
I know that's some of my favorite
we can
memes that
leave.
people have made of him, like, napping, then he's like, "Oh, save
You're
me from
coming
this
to rescue
place."
me."
It's so funny. But, like, I learned, I listened to the, House of the Dragon official podcast, and they had an episode about the dragons and, like, the sound design that go into them, and they talked about the unique personalities, so it's cool to see them, like, brought up to life on the screen. And, they say, like, Caraxes is just, like, a feisty boy who burps a lot and has, like, a deviated septum and stuff, and I'm like, "This is adorable." Such a good noodle boy.
But I love that. I mean, what it seems to indicate is how much thought they put into
Mhm,
the unique personalities of these dragons.
mhm. And
Whether
I
or
think
not they were kind of doing it as a joke or not, but I mean,
no, I think they
that's
needed
just
to because I think they knew that it was gonna be so heavily dragon driven that instead of just, like, having them just be beasts, and people kind of just being like, "Okay, like, dragons are fighting, very fantasy, whatever." To get them invested and pull them in, they actually gave them personalities because 'cause they're gonna drive a lot of what's about to happen. So I think it's actually pretty smart on their end.
yeah. As you were saying, all I could think about was the Battle of Rook's Rest, and when they're like locked and like falling. If they look the same, you'd be like, "Oh, what is happening here?" Two
Mhm.
polygons smashing into each other.
Yeah.
But the other thing I loved about it too was like there was variation in their fighting styles
Oh, yeah.
and like the maturity of the dragons and whether or not they'd been through battles and stuff. I mean, it was just so well. I can't praise it enough how well they did the
Mm,
dragons.
love me some dragons.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I got a question to kind of wrap up Damon's thing. Then we'll talk a little bit about the greens.
Okay.
What did you think about the vision dream sequence at the very end? I think it was episode 8 when he touches the tree and the bloody
Yes.
sap or whatever runs over and you get all these flashes and all these visions. What did you think about that scene?
I have mixed feelings about it. I kind of felt like it was kind of fan favor, like we're gonna create this sequence that's gonna kind of nod towards Game of Thrones and give Damon like this big turning point and like why he becomes, recommitted to Rhaenyra and her cause. So in some way, shape, or form, it's a little bit of fan service. I feel like, especially some of the key shots they sprinkled in there. But at the same time, I didn't mind it because I think it was a different interpretation from Fire and Blood about like Damon's character himself in the books and kind of what his purpose was very just kind of like hazy. And so I think it's kind of a cool take on how he proceeded forth in this war. So it's okay. I mean, the visuals were cool. I thought it was interesting just to see all the banter about what they meant. And that like people were like justice for Daenerys being the one who's the prince that was like, called for the and I was like,
Princess
okay.
Promise. Yeah.
Yeah, the princess promise, yeah. And I was like, oh, I mean, okay, sure.
Maybe.
Like, all right. But is pretty funny to see people's reactions to it. Cool visuals though.
Very cool visuals. We got to see what's his name? Blood Raven.
Hmm.
Who we briefly seen in one of the Dunkin' Egg, the Mystery Night, Mystery Night novella.
Yep.
And if actually, I don't think Fireblood goes up that far. That's not part 1. God forbid he writes another part 2. Trash from Wins the Winner, but whatever. Um, really cool visuals. Rhaenyra sitting the throne, really cool. Seeing the kind of silhouette of Daenerys and her dragons. Seeing the others, the White Walkers, and some whites. Loved it when I first saw it. Loved it. That was really
Mhm.
cool.
Oh, yeah.
I buy that it had the effect that it did on Damon White, that it led him to renew his vows to Rhaenyra in front of the army that
Mhm.
I guess loves him now, even though the kid beforehand said that everybody hates him. You chop one person's head off that everybody hates, and all of a sudden you're in everybody's good
You're like,
graces. So I got it from kind of like a narrative point of view. It worked for me. It was fine in that regard. What I didn't like about it, and what I dislike more and more when I think about it, is it reminds me of season 8 and where this ultimately
"Eh,
goes. And then it makes me think, why is Daenerys? Is it saying Daenerys is the prince who was promised? Because if that's the case, I'm remembering she really didn't do anything in that fight. I don't know why she would be important for that particular fight. I mean, it's nice to have the dragons, I suppose, but all you gotta do is get Arya close enough that she can leap out of the shadows from 50 feet away with a. I still think, okay, so if it's Dragon Steel Blade, if I remember correctly, the dagger is what it takes to kill them, and then
mhm,
like a hive mind, they all blow up or fall apart or whatever.
sure."
I still think, like, why don't you just fashion a dragon steel arrowhead and shoot him from a distance
Mhm.
when he's not looking? I don't know. We don't need
Here's the
rehash.
thing. We can rant about season 8 all day. People are pissed about the finale of season 8 and how, Daenerys went bad and get killed
The
and stuff
Mad
like
Queen.
that. That's like the main thing that people hark on, and I'm like, I'm over here pissed about how they handled the Night King and that whole war because that's what this whole thing was literally leading up to, and none of it happened how it should
Supposedly,
have.
supposedly, that's a subversion of expectations. That
he
thought
that's what it
he
was
set it
leading
up
up
on
to.
different left turn.
And he's like,
And
"No, that's what it's leading up to, literally."
I'm way more annoyed by that than I am everything that happened in King's Landing. Even though
Yes.
I'm annoyed by that too, but I agree with you. I mean, like, this is the bigger sin of season 8, was
Yeah,
this
that
whole
was literally, like,
debacle.
one of the big key driving anyways.
Yeah, and it
Anywho.
just but I appreciate that they want to make this line up with
Mhm.
Game of Thrones,
Yeah, tie it
but
in somehow. Yep.
and it's not this is not their fault, but they can't get away from the fact that season 8 happened.
Mhm.
And every time you do something like this, you remind people that season 8 happened.
Yeah.
And even from kind of a narrative, unless there's something to do, like he's seeing visions, but it's not necessarily the case, like that they're accurate or they're complete, or maybe someone's manipulated them somehow. Maybe the three-eyed ravens manipulated them somehow. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. But again, then I can get to the point where I'm like, but Daenerys like didn't really do anything in that fight. Unless I'm misremembering, which is possible because I try to block all that out. I will say, just as kind of a footnote to this, the thing that annoys me the most about season 8, though, is neither the battle at Winterfell, the Long Night, or what happens in King's Landing with Daenerys. Um, it's that stupid council meeting, gathering, trial. I don't even know what it was, where they basically decided the fate of Westeros and the fate
Mm,
of Jon Snow and Tyrion. Everything about that I hated. And that is what annoys me the most. Maybe that's because, like, I got a degree in poli sci, and there was so
probably.
much there that like made my head want to explode. That that's like the one.
That's great.
I might be in the minority on this, but that's the one thing from that season that drives me the craziest and annoys me the most, is that whole sequence. Oh my! And it's not nothing to do with, like, oh, who's got the best story, Bran the Broken. I mean, that's annoying, but that's not my biggest problem. Anyway, that's a complete tangent. It's unrelated to what we're talking about here. I guess it's tangentially related to this vision, but okay, we better get to the greens. The poor greens. We haven't talked about the greens at all. And before we get to the grace and beauty that is Rings of Power, we got to talk about the greens.
Okay,
So,
the Greens.
what did you
Yes.
think about the greens?
Well, I think the Greens were winning for a while up until kind of near the end, unfortunately. But I think they were kinda kicking ass for a bit. Mainly Aemond, let's be real. Were kicking he was kicking ass, quite literally in some regards.
Oh, he was
Um,
kicking ass, but he was burning
Not kicking
ass.
ass,
Yes.
but he's burning ass.
And he was showing ass
So
at some points
but
in
I
the season
also
too.
think, Team Green was kind of just turning into Team Aemond. They were losing people left and right. Otto Hightower got gone. Aegon got burned to a crisp, and then Alicent was basically shoved out. So,
She floated in a lake somewhere in the woods.
mhm.
Mm.
So like not left with a lot of people.
And so, what do you think about that like decision? I mean, I know it kind of follows generally like hits a lot of plot points from the book, like
Hmm.
Rook's Rest, Cole going out, Aegon.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, I thought it
what
was.
did you like the way that they kind of wrote the season for the Greens
Yeah,
and their whole story?
I think the Greens storylines were much more interesting and impactful than actually the Team Black ones. I think you got to see a lot of the like just family internal struggles, the political struggles that each of them were dealing with. I think it was like the perfect package of for the season. So I actually thought they were the most interesting characters. And obviously, the actor who plays Eamon is fantastic. The actress who plays Allison is amazing. The guy who plays Aegon was like fantastic as well. Like I
Hmm.
just thought just played their characters phenomenally with what they were given. So I think they were like the shining stars of the season.
Yeah, it's so funny because like I thought Aegon was going to be kind of one note,
Hmm.
and he turned out to be quite complex. Whereas I thought Aemon was going to be the more complex character. He turned out to be kind of one note.
Yeah, just murderous,
Yeah,
rampaging. Right.
jealous, quick to anger,
Yes, yes.
uh, sees slights and everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, very insecure.
Power
Um,
driven.
and what's he do? He just goes and on Vagar and burns up towns and villages.
Gets a
So
little power hungry. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Tortures his brother after trying to kill him.
Yep. Yep.
I loved Otto. I just wish he didn't disappear for half a season.
I know his character. He was so good. Well, one phenomenal actor again, but he was also just interesting in how he was playing, the political field with everybody,
Mhm.
and it was interesting to see how Aegon approached it. Kind of this like knee jerk reaction to being king and stuff like that, and very newbie-ish. And Otto was like trying to guide him in a more like sophisticated,
Mhm.
knowledgeable way. And he was just like, no, I'm the king. So it would have been more interesting to see how that plays out. But we get a hint that he may be coming back next season. So
He'll be back.
yeah.
I don't know what capacity,
In what
but
capacity?
clearly he'll be
Questionable,
back.
but yeah. So
You're not getting rid of Reese Ifans, I think is his name, that easily.
yeah.
So much. Again, he's another one. It's like Otto's easier to.
Otto, it's weird.
And maybe it suggests we're not very cultured. We can't pronounce other people's names.
Mm,
Well, we try. We do our best. We do our best.
mhm,
So, yeah, I thought it was. I liked their. I think I did like their storyline better than the blacks because the blacks really was just basically Jace flying around talking to people or moping, and Rhaenyra haunting the halls of Dragonstone, and
mhm.
Damon being haunted by the halls in Harrenhal. And that
Yeah, they
was
were
for
all
most of
kind
the
of
season. And
they
then
were all kind of moping.
and
Rainier
then
kind of
yeah,
mope.
and then Corlys
Rayla mope.
Valerian hanging out at the docks, that one dock, watching the boat
Mm,
get repaired
also
all
moping.
season long. At least he has like a reason. I mean, his wife got killed.
That's fair. That's valid. Yeah, the only character
Man,
from Team Black that was like the most impactful died, and that was Rainey's. Killed her
she was
off.
also the only one willing to like really do anything outside of, I guess. Well, Damon
Right.
was initially for his own selfish reasons. I mean, he at least
Sure.
fought over. I mean, he didn't really conquer Harrenhal. Sir
Walked in.
Simon Strong, the Castellan, who became apparently like a huge hit. Everybody loved him.
Clapping
Yeah,
in the background, and he's like, so
everybody's
cute.
happy. Oh, love is in the air. Love, at least respect. Respect's in the air. Maybe not love. And then like the other guy from the sheet that Rhaenyra had sent to Damon, and he like tried to turn on Rhaenyra and be like, "You're the king we need." As soon as like name, just do you notice when Damon bent the knee, that guy's like, "Oh, I'm out," and he's
He's
don't
like,
look at me,
excuse
don't look at
me.
me. Like, where are you gonna run to, dude? You're clearly like a highborn. You're on the council. They can find you. I guess he's gonna run to the Greens, I would think, but I
Maybe.
guess we'll have
Yeah.
to see. I don't know if that's going to be something they address next season or if they just drop it. But,
Mm.
oh yeah, let's do it. Let's get to it. The ending. Where do you stand on the ending? The ending where once again, how easy it is. One of the opposing monarchs, leaders, just is able to row a boat over into enemy territory, enemy stronghold, get out, make it to the gates, make it within the hulls, and have a conversation with Rhaenyra. I get it. Like they're the story. It's their story. And it's
Mhm.
dramatic to get them together. It's just strange credulity to me. And they did it like 3 times, I think, 2 or 3 times, and she was like, "Oh my god, this again?" Anyway, we won't get into that because we could both probably complain about that. I assume
Yes.
you complain about that. But
Yes.
the real controversy, they set up war again.
Mhm.
Where do you fall on this finale?
I fall in the area, little circle area of folks who are like, "This is actually a really good episode as a like, as it is. Great episode, not a great finale, though, especially when you have to wait 2 years to find out what the hell happens with the actual battle." I think when, 2 years pass and season 3 is, like, on the horizon and people are rewatching season 2, it will be a fantastic way to go into season 3. But it kind of fell flat in terms of season finale.
Yeah, I actually and that's why I think I mentioned earlier, I think this is gonna age well. This this, uh
Yeah,
this finale,
it's
with the exceptions.
terrible.
No, with the
Terrible.
exception of a couple character things, and like I said, the ease with which they're making it into each other's citadels and stuff like
Sure.
that. All
Mhm.
that aside, like, and especially the ending, like, I think if you and I were able to binge watch the whole series, and the whole series is out, this would be a really interesting end to an episode
Mhm.
because we could just
Yep,
click next episode and okay, we're in the war, we're in the
there
battle.
you go. Mhm.
And I think a lot of people's consternation or disappointment is that there's 2 years between the next season.
Yeah, it's rough.
And I think if they had done what Game of Thrones originally did in a lot of their, especially the early seasons, where they'd have like a big battle in episode 7 or the penultimate, whichever episode that would fall on. They'd have a huge battle in the penultimate episode and then use the finale as a way to set up the next season
Mhm.
in the aftermath of that battle. But we didn't have that here. We had just the dragon testing, which was a cool sequence. It was a very cool sequence,
It was very cool. So, yeah,
but
had a
it's
cool
not.
ending to that episode. Mhm.
But again, it's like they're not. It's self-contained within the realm of the blacks. It's not. There's no confrontation when this is supposed to be a civil war,
Mm.
and we still aren't at the civil war. And I appreciate them taking time to set all the pieces up and like show like here's how you actually build your forces to actually have something to fight with. Cool, but so I think that's kind of the sour taste left is that the time, as you said, and
Yeah.
this will age a lot better because I love the sequence, the ending sequence with all where it flashes between all the armies, and the music for that sequence is
Ooh, good.
one, it's wonderful.
Mhm.
And so I think it's a really good sequence. It's just not well placed. And I wonder if, in part, because next season, if they are going to be, and I think the creator said in after show, like this is Total War now, the next season. And if that's the case, maybe they're also like, well, we need to save money somehow so we can actually have all these big battles that we're doing next season. And and also maybe it's going to be a much more fast paced season because of that. I hope so. Next season cannot end with, oh, they're ready to fight now. It
No.
doesn't even really begin that way. I mean, I think you have to get into now the battle in the river. They're clearly gonna start with the battle of the Gullet. They must start with that. I would
Mhm.
imagine.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
Maybe episode 2 because they haven't caught the kids, the Targaryen kids yet on
Mm-mm.
that one merchant vessel, which I think happens before the battle. But we did see all the dragon seeds suiting up for battle. So I think they're going to start with that. And they'll
Yeah.
probably, I would imagine, get into then the Riverlands battles and then maybe the Tumbleton stuff at the end of the season. And at some point in there, Rhaenyra's going to take King's Landing, clearly.
Yep, they set that up pretty well.
I thought they were going to do that. I thought that was going to be the end of this season.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah. Because I thought they were setting it up like Christian Cole's already out. Aemon says he's going to go meet him.
Mhm.
And they were resolving things with Damon and Rhaenyra. I was like, okay, they're gonna like just end this where they just because in the book, right? Don't they just like show up on dragons and
Pretty
they just
much.
there's no real fight because there's no army there.
No one's there. Yeah.
I mean, they could have done that here where they just like parachuted on Caraxes and Rhaenyra's dragon, whose name is currently escaping me. Cyrex. I think it's Cyrex.
Cyrax.
Which
Yeah,
sounds like a Mortal Kombat character. Wasn't it?
it
Weren't the
does.
robots in Mortal Kombat like Cyrox and Pyrox and
Probably.
Gyrox. I don't
It
know.
does sound like a Mortal Kombat name. So does Vagar. They
It does sound like
Mortal
that.
Kombat names. But it like
Vagar sounds like
these
someone that made.
parachutes in. Like a flying squirrel. Like, see, so cute.
You can't trust squirrels. You can't trust them. Okay. All right. Any final thoughts? House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon. No, overall, I thought it was a pretty good season. I don't think it was as good as season 1, if I had to compare, but that's kind of hard to beat it because season 1 was so well done. But season 2 still good. So, I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the next season in 2 years. Excuse me, 2 years. Let's not add another one, please. Not another year.
Yeah. I will say I miss not having it this
I
past Sunday. I
know.
was like, oh no, House of the
Oh,
Dragon.
it was
So it still got me. I'm still hooked. I'd probably give it probably 6.5 to 7 for a full season because I thought
okay.
I thought the high
that's
points were
fair.
better outweighed the low points.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, well that leads us into another fantasy world, Middle Earth, which
Okay.
we got to enjoy to see the second part of our orchestral engagement with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We saw 2
We
towers
did.
in a giant performing arts hall with a live
Mhm.
orchestra, live choir, live
Yep.
singers, Enya. Well, not really Enya, but
Not really in there.
the Enya stand-in
Yes.
for us as they played 2 towers on the big screen, and it still holds up. It still holds
Oh,
up.
so
It's
good.
wonderful. The Ballad Helmsy, oh my gosh, Chef's Kiss
So
on the big
good.
screen again too, which is just so cool to see it on the big screen.
Mhm.
But we're not here to talk about the sublime. I dare say we're here to talk about maybe the profane. I don't know. That's for the audience to judge. Because this is an adaptation of an appendix that I think Tolkien may have written and attached to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, The Hobbit. I don't really know the whole backstory of it. But Rings of Power season 2. You and I were both lukewarm to disappointed in the first season, if I remember correctly. I certainly was.
Correct.
I believe you were. Okay.
Yes.
You, as I mentioned earlier, to the essay, you are not looking forward to this season.
I am not.
You might not watch this season.
That is true. I may not.
Despite having gone to the Rings of Power activation and seen from afar.
I love me a good Middle Earth themed party. Don't get me wrong. I love a party.
I love a party.
Love a free party.
Especially when the wardrobes are so wonderful and fashionable.
True. Lots of
if I remember correctly, the only redeeming quality of which season, whatever it was that we last saw, the ball scene.
That was pretty much the only saving grace. The whole damn scene.
So rather than generally talk about Rings of Power season 2, I thought I could play a little game.
Ooh, a game. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mentioned that there was an EW cover story article about season 2 of Rings of Power, and they talk about some different plot elements and stuff with characters. And so I thought what we could do is I will give you some of for that article, and you can say for each like storyline that they go into, and you can say intrigued,
okay,
indifferent, or why are we doing this again, or some variation of that. Jettison, throw out, fast forward. I don't know. There are a lot of ways I think we can, but you get the gist of this game. Mm-hmm. So you down to do this game as we kind of close out this episode?
Sure.
This is, like I said, this is an article from an article on EW.entertainmentweekly.com, August 6th, 2024 by Christian Halub. Sorry.
Sounds right.
Christian, if you ever stumble upon this, I apologize. Okay. So first thing, Galadriel. If you remember where we left off with Galadriel, do you remember where we left off with Galadriel?
Ugh. All I can remember is the horse.
Yes, there was a horse in this season. As they recreate Arwen carrying Frodo to Rivendell. This was Galadriel carrying Halbrand / Sauron to Eregia? I don't know, some elf town. I don't remember the elf city. But last we saw her, she had been duped. She learned that she'd been duped by Halbrand. He's really Sauron. Then he just disappeared in
lots of fire and smoke and stuff.
Yeah, they were on a raft again. I don't know what's going on.
I don't.
Maybe they were in the Godswood at Harrenhal again, just like Daemon. they were transported.
Hallucinating.
They were in a different vision, a side vision from Arrow, whatever. But then she still convinced Celebrimbor to forge the 3 elven rings, and she got one, I believe, if I remember. I think it was Elrond, her, and Celebrimbor. It's really not that important, to be honest with you. But anyway, in the grand scheme of things, do we care? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. So you probably see where I'm going with this here.
It's great.
So they talk about they say under his eye is like her like heading for this article, which is I think illusion. I think an allusion to Handmaid's Tale. I could be correct about that, but talks about how she was duped. She was surprised to find out that he was Sauron, and she says the actor that plays Galadriel, she's really made a fool of herself. The elves aren't really known for doing that, so she's in a whole new space where she's no longer the voice of authority and reason. And she says that Sauron's been very successful at destabilizing his enemies. I didn't realize he had enemies, but apparently it's the elves, I'm guessing. I thought he was on the path of redemption for most of last season, but either way. So, are you excited about it? That's really all we get about Galadriel. really sets us up for arc this season. So, are you interested? Interested, indifferent, or why are we doing this again? For Galadriel storyline, to the extent that you have any sense from that comment what she's going to be doing this season.
Oh my gosh. Can I just throw it out? Just so not like
the storyline or what you're about to say. That could be I turn a phrase.
Storyline.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god.
You don't care about Galadriel?
Oh my god, I don't care whatsoever. They did her no justice in the first season, in my opinion, whatsoever. Her character was just not interesting, so bland. And for I guess my thoughts of who Galadriel is, even knowing that she was different from, young Galadriel to what you see in the Lord of the Rings movies. Different, obviously, living that long, you probably change. But I just thought I think I just thought they did a terrible job with her character in the first season. And that quote that she gave, I don't think you were reading it to me. I was like, this is not getting me excited about your character whatsoever. So I'm also like, can we just pass by her? And
it's interesting because she says, she's no longer the voice of authority and reason. I was like, when was that? Did I miss that episode?
Yeah, I was pretty sure that was literally the storyline of the first season.
Yeah,
they kicked her out basically.
I should say we're actually recording this. I saw they're apparently releasing another trailer tomorrow for this, but we're recording this before that.
Great.
All we have right now is the trailer. I think they released from Comic-Con, where it seems like in that trailer she's now going to be trying to convince the elves not to forge rings. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna say I'm indifferent to the storyline at the moment. So I'm gonna give them a chance here. I'm definitely not intrigued. I don't care.
Okay.
But throw it out. The reason I won't throw it out is because of the other storylines that there are some that I really not have that we'll get to. So let's move on. Okay. So the one that duped her, Halbrand, sexy Sauron. Yeah. So everyone knows that he's Sauron now. I guess that means everyone in the audience knows, not necessarily everyone in the cast. So I don't think anyone.
Yeah.
Celebrimbor apparently does, and he throws on a wig and he doesn't. Who are you? But apparently this season is about Sauron. We're inside his mind now, according to the actor that plays Sauron. From a storytelling perspective, we're in his mind. In the past, the camera would cut away from him when he had his private thoughts. What? That was me. Sorry. Now the camera, then going back to the article, now the camera follows him through those thoughts. What? Going back to, sorry, getting derailed. The audience is in on it, which I think is quite fun. Because in Sauron's mind, this is now the showrunner, one of the showrunners, Sauron's the hero of his own story, a cliche you say about villains these days. His idea of himself is that he wants to heal and rehabilitate Middle Earth. He's got a very clear vision for how it should be done. And the only problem is other people getting in the way. And doesn't that just fit with his overall plan from season 1 when he somehow conspired to find himself on the raft in the middle of the ocean? Yeah. And apparently, and they go on to say that one of those people getting in his way is the orc leader of Adar, who has been recast. He's now no longer being played by Uncle Benjen from Game of Thrones. He's played by someone else here. I don't know who this person is. But apparently, we're going to find out in flashbacks what happened between Adar and Sauron. So, Danny, Adar, Sauron, any interests in that dynamic? Intrigued? Indifference? Get rid of it.
Um, this is taking me a minute to think through. I think
I can go first if you want to take a minute. I'll give you mine.
Okay, you go first.
I am actually intrigued on a couple levels. One, if they can somehow explain why he's on a raft in the middle of the ocean that is reasonable, plausible, satisfying. I have very little hope for that, but I'm intrigued to see how they do this, if they do this, and how they do this. And then I actually liked Adar. I thought he was one of the more interesting characters from the first season.
Yes.
And so that part of it, I'm interested in. Or I'm intrigued by. Interested. Yes. So that's the only reason I'm more interested in that character than Sauron. Sauron's just there.
Right. You had me intrigued with the Adar component added into it because he was one of the more like actual dynamic characters. I felt like the most interesting that I wanted to know more about. So he was very like fascinating, and seemed very sinister and dark. And I was like, you have a story, dude, and I hope we find out what it is. But Sauron himself, like, I don't know. He again fell flat for me. Like I can be all for that kind of villain character arc, but again, the character last season just didn't do it for me. So I'm like I'm very approaching with caution. Oh, how they'll do it this season. So I'll say like intrigued, but like with layers to it.
I think you just created a fourth category in this game. It's okay.
Well, I have to like. A part of me is like I have to be intrigued because he's literally the main like bad guy, the main dude for it. So I feel like you have to be intrigued, or else like why bother watching?
It would be nice if we were intrigued. Whether you have to be, I guess, is up to the writers in this. All right, 3 more for you, I think. 3
okay.
more.
Okay.
Let's see here. Still with Sauron, he's apparently going to permeate this season. So he's touching on all these different storylines, either directly or indirectly. But he wants a friend, which this article says. Sauron is looking for a friend. He's lonely.
Since when?
He had Galadriel, which I think he got friend zoned, and he didn't like that apparently. So now, but then she rejected him after finding out that he's Sauron, Lord of Darkness. So kind of understandable. But he's looking for a new friend, which he finds in Celebrimbor. Do you remember Celebrimbor? Yeah, he's the guy that walked with Elrond to the Khazad-dûm, and then just I guess walked back to his place after that when he was rejected. Anyway. Celebrimbor wants to leave his mark on the world, and he wants a legacy. And Sauron approaches him. And so, reading from the article here, we go. Sauron wants to make even more rings. Remember, this is parenthetical in the article. Remember, there were 7 rings for dwarves and 9 for men. In case you didn't see the prologue to Fellowship of the Ring, but he still needs Celebrimbor's help. I don't know why, but whatever. So that's me again. Sorry. I should stop interjecting. Back to the article. So to deceive the great elf, Sauron abandons his Halbrand form in favor of a new look. Anatar, the Lord of Gifts. The long, blonde hair and elfin features are meant to trick Celebrimbor into thinking that this new rival is an emissary of the godlike Valar, rather than their adversary. A quote from Sauron's actor: in terms of physicality and appearance, we designed everything from the perspective of what would best sway Celebrimbor. The character had to have a weight and power about him, so that someone like Celebrimbor, who is the great smith, would be persuaded. If you saw the trailer they released at Comic-Con, he dons an elven blonde wig, puts on some pointy ears. I think he does a little bit to his cheekbones, a little bit. But it's clearly the same guy. And yes, he apparently emerges from magic fire or magic light. I don't know which. I guess the question I have for you, but in terms of addition to, I should say, intrigue, intrigue with levels, indifferent, or jettison,
Okay.
would you have been deceived by someone wearing a blonde wig with pointy ears and higher cheekbones?
I mean, if he was gonna be as good looking as Thranduil or Legolas, possibly, but he
Oh my
did
god!
not look as good
If he
looking.
if he came in out through like the flames on a moose, I'd be 100% into the show. The show would have me at that point. I don't think
Yeah,
that's gonna happen, but I would be like, heck yeah, I'm in. I'm in now.
I
You got
don't
me.
think
I'm
so.
in for at least one
Yes.
more episode. The moose gets you one episode with me.
Let's get to what else. But no, he did not pull it off quite as well as they did. So I would say no, I probably wouldn't have been fooled by the minor touch-ups that he did. Oh, too funny. But I would say for this one, I would just be indifferent. And yeah, just whatever. Sure. We'll see. See
I'm
how it
with you too.
lands.
I second the indifference.
Mhm.
In part because you need this storyline because it's called the Rings of Power.
Quite literally needed again.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
I just think they're gonna. I don't think they can do it, but I mean, I just think it strains credulity that he wouldn't. He'd be so blinded by ambition that he would just overlook this. Maybe they'll set this up well. I mean, based off of season one, I don't have a lot of hope in that regard, but I guess I could be convinced if they can set it up well. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm with you. Indifferent. I guess anything with Sauron so far, I'm indifferent.
Yeah, pretty much. He's a requirement, so I feel like
He's got to be there. He's got.
he's gotta
There's.
be there.
He's contractually obligated to be in this show. So yeah. Okay. Two more that I want to ask you about.
Okay.
Um, inside the mountain. So this is the Dorvan storyline. A big argument tore a rift in the Dorvan royal family at the end of season one, with King Durin III disowning his son, Prince Durin IV, after the latter gifted some of the dwarves' precious mithril to the elves of neighboring Eregion. Yeah, like a sliver of it. That's Megan. Back to the article. And beyond that familial split, the kingdom is facing structural problems that demand a magical solution. What? We lose light in Khazad-dûm, the actor that plays the Dwarven princess, and therefore we can't grow crops. So the kingdom is dying. Okay. So rings are made by sorry, my brain short-circuited for a second there. So rings are made by Celebrimbor and are introduced to Khazad-dûm. What we see from these rings is a quick fix, if you like, but the knock-on effects of having those rings at Khazad-dûm seeps its way into everything and everyone, primarily with King Durin III. Prince Durin sees a change in his father, a darkness, which has a massive effect on him. I assume he means on the son, the prince.
Yes.
There are apparently also more songs from the Dorvan people that sing to the rocks. Let's see. The Dorvan rings create confusion and chaos even for the steadfast Princess Disa, who wants to see her husband on the throne, but not at the cost of his soul. And the actor that plays her says it's ambition meets fear, meets love, meets pain and worry. She's trying to figure out which of those emotions are useful or need to be listened to. So she's quite up and down in her views. One minute she's like, yes, we need the rings. Then she's like, oh no, but the ring. She was really working it out in real time and out loud. I'm guessing that's me again, parenthetically. But her mission is, by any means necessary, your bottom needs to be on that chair. So I hear a lot of inconsistency in writing this character, but maybe it'll play out well. So the dwarves, intrigued, but with levels. Which might be the right answer because this is a mine, so there are levels to it.
There are levels,
yeah. Indifferent or toss into the pit of doom, mountain of doom, fires of Mount Doom. Sorry, it's lame. Like I said, my brain short circuit.
I'm gonna go with intrigued for this one. Because the dwarves were like one of the only storylines from the first season that I was remotely interested in and thought was pretty good. And so I also like that we're getting a little bit more of the like lore of the dwarves because you don't really get a lot of it in the Lord of the Rings, other than kind of it's like on the fringes. You kind of know they keep to their mountains, like they don't like to be involved with things. So I kind of like that you're getting this deeper look into their world and culture and how they, work and stuff. So I kind of like that aspect, but that's more of like the nerdy side of me of just like wanting to learn more about the dwarves versus like the actual character storylines, if that makes sense. But we just don't know a lot about them. So I think it'll be interesting to see how they approach it. Hopefully they do it well, because again, like I said, season one, I thought the writers enjoyed writing for the dwarves
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that like continues into this and yeah, I hope they do the dwarves justice.
So you say you were intrigued for that one?
Yes, intrigued.
I'm intrigued with levels. I want to put
Mm-hmm.
Sauron in the indifferent level there. But intrigued by the doors. Yeah, I thought they were standouts last season. I just hope that we can see more than a couple doors per scene. I think we had
Yeah.
like one big scene with a bunch of dwarves that seemed to be just like Disa and Durin, or Durin and Durin, and we saw like 4 or 5 rooms in Khazad-dûm. And I'm like, there's a
Hmm.
whole world down there. Can we explore a little bit of
Yeah,
it? Apparently, we're getting a Balrog that flies and throws a fiery spear, so I guess that's kind of cool.
I'm here for
Because
that.
spectacle without story always works well. Okay,
Hmm.
one more I want to ask you about, and I have a couple rapid fire ones since it's
Okay.
getting a little late here.
Hmm.
But this is everybody's favorite, The Hobbit. Better known in this world, in this iteration, as the Harfoots, or maybe it's just a Harfoot, and
Hmm.
the stranger that most people refer to as not Gandalf, because everybody thinks he's Gandalf, and a lot of arrows point to him being Gandalf.
Hmm.
All right, so a couple of things I want to read from this article related to their journey in this season. Starting with this article says the new episodes also explore an area that Tolkien didn't write much about: the desert region of Rune, farther east than even Mordor. I want to stop real quick there and say this terrifies me because anytime, I mean, not anytime, maybe that's being a little harsh. Recently, though, in shows and adaptations, when writers are deviating or trying to fill in areas of a world that a writer didn't write, we run into big problems. More often than not, they're misses. So right
Yes.
there, I dislike that right there, right off the bat. So you know where I'm going with this. Jettison. Although I was ready to jettison the Harfoot storyline last season. Big red flag right there. But going a little
Hmm.
further, here's kind of one of the things that they end up doing. As they travel across Rune, Kavanaugh's Nori, that's the Harfoot, if you don't recall, that's her name,
Yep.
and the stranger, the towering Daniel Wayman, which is the actor's name, not the name of the not Gandalf character. They encounter a new tribe. We get more hobbits, new
More
hobbits, a
hobbits.
new tribe of hobbit-like creatures called Stores. Just as Nori's own Harfoots are a predecessor to the Shire dwellers we know and love from Lord of the Rings, these Stores predate the river folk that will one day produce Gollum. But there are also dangerous new acquaintances like the Dark Wizard, portrayed by Ciaran Hinds, also from Game of Thrones. He was a Mance Raider, King Beyond the Wall,
Hmm.
as well as he was Julius Caesar in the HBO's Rome. Wonderful actor. I love him. So sad he's trapped in this. Although I'm sure he got a good paycheck. Anyway, last sentence. Even this far from Sauron, villains are on the rise. Parenthetically, I will add, they run into Tom Bombadil out there as well. So yeah, we got a little Tom Bombadil action. So they're like, well, what do we do? Tolkien didn't write about any of this. Throw in more hobbits. Throw in dark wizards. The trailer throws in moths. I saw moths that look like they're from this sequence. Let's throw in Tom Bombadil. Let's just throw everything in there, and maybe something will stick. So anyway, your thoughts on our lovable Harfoot, her and her wizard companion, and the new hobbits.
Oh, I don't know. I just I can't. I like the idea of like, this wizard character mysterious wizard character who's probably Gandalf or Saruman, one of the great wizards, right? I like the idea of that, but when I'm kind of hooking into the same idea of where you have to like hodgepodge together a storyline, it just never goes well. And the introduction of like hobbits on hobbits on hobbits, like last season was really boring. So and dragged really long. And so like I'm concerned that will happen again with this storyline in season 2. It won't be interesting. And you're pulling from like now there's giant moths because there's giant eagles, but now
Well,
there's
I don't know if
giant
they're
moths.
giant. I think they're just like
Okay.
I think it's just like I don't know what you call a. Oh my god, my mind is blanking, but it's like a group of
Okay.
oh my gosh,
Hopefully it's not
what
giant
is like a
moths.
group of insects? It's a swarm. I don't know if moths are
Swarm.
swarms,
Okay.
but it's like they're a group of small moths
Okay. That was about to say,
in the
hopefully.
trailer. This was like it was like a quick shot in the trailer.
Okay. Maybe I misinterpreted
Even though we
them
saw
for giant eagle.
Moz,
But
in season 1 when he blew up the 3 witches or whatever they were.
yeah,
They turned
yeah.
into Moz.
I remember that.
Yeah,
So clearly moths are your
yeah,
thing.
they're big.
Anywho, so I don't have much hope in this translating very well. I also don't know how like desert hobbits go from desert hobbits to like river hobbits. Like
They realize that they need water to survive, and they're like, "Well, let's go."
but they're desert hobbits. Like you don't go from like desert hobbit the Aiel from Wheel of Time do not go from like
They don't leave the
desert
threefold land, yeah, until the current.
to the wetlands, and are like, oh my god, we're gonna move into the wetlands because it's water.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't
I
know if
think
it's
it's
a
because
hard
of
sell for
their
me.
great sin that they belong in. It takes a lot to
That's
get them
true.
out of the threefold land, get them out of the way.
That's true.
Maybe
That's true.
a sandworm shows up and like, they can't tame
Maybe.
them or something, and they have to the
Maybe.
Harkonnens parachute in,
Mm-hmm.
like Caraxes. Let's just throw all of these different
All the
properties and IPs and stories
all together.
together.
It'd probably be more interesting than Rings of Power.
I'd watch it just to see what it looks like and what they're doing. I'm
So
yeah.
I
You're jettison or whatever, right? You're
would
discard this.
jettison just because like I see this not really kind of connecting with what's happening with the others. I'm sure it will at some point, but how many seasons do we have to go through so we get to that point would be the big question.
Supposedly, there's like a line in the trailer, I think from Tom Bombadil, or it's a conversation with Tom Bombadil and the not Gandalf character. So something like, "What? So you're saying I have to help, like, put out the fire or something?" And it's like, "What are you going to let a fire burn through Middle Earth?" Or I assume talking about Sauron and attempting
Sure.
to in metaphor. So I'm guessing that like he's going to learn like his powers there and come back and fight Sauron. That would be my guess.
Meh.
Yeah, I don't care. Last season I was like, get rid of this. It feels like the studio's like, we need hobbits, we need wizards, graph it onto the show somehow.
Yeah.
And it feels
Agree.
like that. So they should just get rid of it. And it also feeds in role. Last thing I'll say is it feeds back into we need to show how everything in the main property came about. Like tying this to Gollum. Oh my god, my eyes rolled so far in the back of my head. I saw the bookshelf behind me. Okay, rapid fire, real quick. Numenor. Any interest?
Maybe a little bit. Just to see what happens.
Elrond.
Yes, intrigued because I like the character in general. So hopefully maybe this season he gets a little more kick to him, if you will.
Hey, he dons armor and fights in a battle, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
At least according to the trailer. What the heck? Isildur.
The silence is deafening.
Yeah. Okay. And finally, baby Shilong.
Aww. I mean, the nerdy part of me just thinks baby Shelob is adorable. Like, oh, that'd be so cute. But I don't really. It goes to I think what you said about how they have to like tie everything to something that happens in the movies, and so they're like, throw in baby Shelob, people will love it.
and I forgot one more. I think his name is Arendir. He was the elf.
Oh, the elf. Yeah. Yes, I was like the elf.
Elf from the South. He's still around.
Considering I literally forgot about him.
I forgot mainly about the whole storyline outside of Adar. Like,
Adar.
all the
Yeah,
villagers, like, whatever.
yeah, yeah. So there we go for
There you
that.
go. Okay, cool. There you go. Rings of Power. So we're gonna watch it, right, Denny? We're gonna watch and talk about it.
Do I have to? Are you gonna
Well,
make me?
we can do a
I
watch party. We can have a little watch party for the first episodes and
Yeah, we can try again.
see if it grabs our attention. Yeah, we can like try it for the first season. It worked out so well.
No, it didn't. I think we watched like literally, I think the first episode together, and then we were like,
Yeah,
"Eh."
this is enough. We've had enough.
Yes. Too funny.
So hopefully they've heard the critiques and they have addressed it. They will never address the fact that they have supplanted Wheel of Time, and I'll never forgive them for that. But
True.
we're supposed to. I think we're getting Wheel of Time next year, so thank God for that. Thank God. But speaking of Wheel of Time, this leads very well into books we're reading because we're both reading the same book at the moment,
Woo!
which is what are we reading?
Lord of Chaos.
Lord of Chaos. Let the Lord of Chaos reign.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Or rule in this case.
Oh, rule. Sorry. Oh my God.
It's the other R.
I just read one of the lines too. That said that. Where are you from?
I like
Oh.
rain better though, personally. But
Yeah.
it's okay.
The Lord of Chaos rule. How's it going? How's your progress?
Let's see. I think I was on page 167 or somewhere around there. So making
Nice.
progress, like slowly but surely, but I'm getting there. So
I'm over 200. I'm just ahead of you. I think I'm like 20 or 30 pages ahead of you.
well, that's no shocker. I expected that.
I just got through I got through a 90 chapter.
Oh,
Yeah.
fun.
It's a salad art chapter. So everyone please clap. Please clap for me. I think the salad art storyline for a lot of people is not that interesting.
It's pretty slow. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you at the moment, are you enjoying it or are you kind of neutral so far?
I'm enjoying how much we're seeing of the Forsaken in this one because I feel like we've gotten touches of it in the past and it's like slowly has built up each book. Like you get a little bit more presence. And this one is the first one that I think we've revisited the Forsaken like multiple times within the first 100 or so pages. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and we met Shadar Haran.
Yes.
Special
Yes.
merchant. Yeah.
Talk about intrigued about that.
Yeah.
But
I will
other
say
than that, it's slow going with like Rand, Matt. They're like touching on everybody, which I appreciate. You know, they're touching on each of the main characters and stuff, but it is a little slow and like setting up. So I'm sure it will pick up, but mixing in the Forsaken is helping. So
yeah, I think it's nice because, as you said, it's like the first time we really get to see what's going on their side of things on the shadow, like, and all of them, not just like Lanfear.
Yeah.
And we got to go to Shaol Ghul.
Yep, that was cool.
As well as South that's like. So yeah, I'm with you. There's a lot more dynamism, and it's also like answers finally about what's going on that side. Whereas you're right, it's a lot of setup, but I think the payoff is worth it, especially this book. So I think it's worth it. But you have like 500 pages to go before you get 500 or 600 pages with very small font. So
very tiny font, big.
But you have what 4 months left in the year to finish it. So
that's true. I'll get there.
This is the last Wheel of Time book you have to finish this year, right? According to your goals.
Technically, no.
Oh,
I was gonna read.
Oh, you're not making that goal. Oh, you're not.
I was gonna do 3 a year. I may start the third one at the end of the year, but
you could kind of cheat in the sense you could read New Spring and say that that's your third one for the year.
I was gonna save that for after I finish the series and was gonna just read that. But no, I think I'll probably start the third one, but definitely not finish it because I got other things I want to read after this. So
you're the romantasy with the sexy dragon you got at Comic-Con.
See, gotta go back to the romantasy world for a little bit. It's a palate cleanser.
That's true. Yeah, a lot bigger font. Your pages. Okay, so what bookstore are you shouting out tonight, Denny?
I'm sorry, what? Bookstore?
Bookstore. What bookstore are you shouting out?
Bookstore. I'm gonna shout out kind of a random one because I was thinking about this trip the other day was up in South Dakota. If you ever find yourself going to South Dakota, Mitzi's book. I think it's called Mitzi's Books. And it's a cute little bookstore. I'm trying to remember where exactly. it was in South Dakota that we were. So I'll have to look that up. But it was really, really cute. We stumbled yet again, another one that we just stumbled upon and I dragged my friends into. But they had the cutest kids section that was like upstairs and it had like a giant mural of a dragon. So I thought it was appropriate. Um, since we were talking about House of the Dragon and stuff, and it was really cute.
Yeah, on theme.
Mhm.
Is it Mitzi
Yes,
book?
Mitzi's books.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
just Googled it. It says it's, in Rapid City, South Dakota. Does that
There you go,
sound
Rapid
familiar?
City. Yep,
It's
yep.
very cute too. It's a very quaint little looking store. They got, like, a couple farms in there.
Yeah.
It actually
It's
kinda reminds me of, a couple of the small bookstores around us, Ocoee and,
Yep,
downtown, Winter Garden.
definitely has those vibes. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was really cute, and, there was a really great ice cream shop right around the corner from it, which was also really great. So, Rapid City was a fun city, actually. Great bookstores, great ice cream, and great restaurants. There were some good restaurants there too.
So if you're ever in South Dakota, make sure to, put Rapid City on, your travel list there and stop in at Mitzi's
Yeah.
and get ice cream next door.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Denny, it was great, getting back in the saddle and recording another podcast here, talking House of the Dragon, talking Rings of Power,
Mhm.
and we'll have to figure out what we're gonna talk about next time. It could be the Rings of Power, when they start to air, but maybe it'll be some of our Wheel of Time videos. Let's get back into recording those. But
Yes.
for those interested in finding us talking about other fandoms, other worlds, other books, movies, television shows, where can listeners
Sure.
find our stuff?
Well, they should check out the YouTube channel because it probably has the most stuff, which is at the Pop Docs. And then also, I believe we're still on X, Twitter, and Instagram at the Pop Docs. Um, so yeah, come follow, join.
And hopefully enjoy the conversation.
Sure.
And with that, we'll go ahead and close this episode, which means the Pop Docs Clinic is officially closed.
Woo! Toodles.